Have you ever been faced with a decision that wasn't life or death, but still felt incredibly impactful? A situation where the logical signs pointed one way, but a gut feeling pointed another. It's the kind of decision that you know deep down would either put the wind in your sails or leave you stuck in the doldrums. It would all depend on how things unfolded. Well, that's exactly where I found myself this past October. For the record, October is my favorite month, and I suspect that many of you out there who are either creatives or sports fans would agree. October's got everything: cooler weather, pumpkin spice lattes, peak autumn colors, playoff baseball, and NFL games every Sunday. My wife and I usually book a trip in mid or late October to see the autumn leaves. This year, we chose Oregon, more specifically Grants Pass, Eugene, and Portland. About a week before hitting the road, everything leaned towards don't go. The weather forecast looked terrible. An atmospheric river was due to hit the state a day before we arrived. It's the kind of storm that knocks leaves off trees and muddies hiking trails. If you're someone who loves autumn, you know that timing is everything. Too early and the leaves aren't peak. Too late and they're all brown and on the ground. Over the years, I've taken plenty of trips where my timing was just a bit off. So when the weather started looking grim, I had to consider if it was worth spending all this time, money, and energy just to end up chasing faded leaves in the rain. That's when my wife and I asked the universe for a sign. That same night, while picking up dinner, a car with an Oregon license plate parked right in front of us. So we thought that might be the universe giving us the green light. But the food turned out to be bland and overcooked. Later, when I checked the weather in Oregon, all I kept seeing was rain. And in Portland, all I kept seeing was ice. That could definitely impact our trip. So all things considered, we decided to cancel. And for a day, we felt good about it. Relieved even. The very next day, however, something inside me started to shift. I had this nagging feeling that we had just made a huge mistake. When I brought this up, my wife reminded me that she had canceled every reservation, the hotels, the rental car, the activities. If we rebooked now, we most likely wouldn't get a good bang for our buck. Also, our content creation schedule would be upended. So, in our world, the stakes were high. That's when she told me to meditate on it. The moment I settled in, the answer was immediate. I felt overwhelming joy, wonder, and excitement, but also a calm certainty. In my mind's eye, I saw an explosion of autumn colors, beautiful hiking trails, and I got a glimpse of us watching the World Series inside a comfortable hotel room, celebrating a Dodgers victory or two, which surprised me because I actually thought I was going to agree with her that we should just forget about the trip and stay put. But there I was, receiving definitive confirmation from my higher self. I came out of the meditation and told my wife, we've got to go. Within an hour, she rebooked everything. And fortunately, the prices hadn't really gone up. So now the only question was, did we make the right decision? Was rebooking a mistake? Or did my meditation reveal a series of magical moments that were destined to unfold? Let's find out. But first, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Trill. I'm a conscious creator and a high vibe music artist. If you enjoy high vibe content, hit the like and subscribe, and let's dive in. My wife and I love road trips. It gives us a chance to have meaningful conversations, listen to empowering music, and reset our nervous systems. It takes 9 hours to drive from Los Angeles to Dunsmuir, which is our first official stop. Nestled in the shadow of Mount Shasta, Dunsmuir is a charming Northern California town that has a small country store that serves amazing sandwiches. About an hour south of Dunsmuir, while driving up the 5, we encountered the superstorm that had been pounding in the Pacific Northwest. The rain came fast and hard, and suddenly I found myself boxed in by 2 cargo trucks. I could barely see the road due to the thick fog and rain. After we rounded the bend, I managed to pull into the slow lane. That's when a truck zoomed past us, and bam! A pebble or something slammed into the windshield, cracking it in 3 places. The sound shocked my wife and I. It was so loud. But luckily, the damage was on the passenger side and the glass, though cracked, wasn't shattered. An hour later, as we exited the freeway into Mount Shasta, the clouds suddenly parted. The rain stopped and the sun painted the town with golden light. Was this a reversal of fortune? Sure seemed like it. That's when we saw our first autumn colors. The Starbucks parking lot had 3 or 4 beauties, glowing bright red and orange, as did the street near the country store where we picked up our delicious sandwiches. After a few more hours of driving, we made it to Grants Pass, where we spent the night. The next day, we visited Reinhardt Park. We'd been there before and got to see some pretty nice colors, but this year was next level. It was a magical autumn wonderland. After filming several music video clips and taking dozens of photos, we hit the road again. We stopped in downtown Roseburg, which had its own unique pockets of color. And at Alton Baker Park in Eugene, we found this Stonehenge-like art structure that immediately said, music video location. So we filmed there too. All of this was with the sun shining bright, a far cry from the rain that was predicted. That night at our hotel, we watched Game 3 of the World Series, the epic 18-inning marathon that ended with Freddie Freeman's walk-off home run and a Dodgers victory. That feeling of excitement and thrill was exactly what I felt in my meditation. Little did I know, there was even greater magic yet to come in Game 6 and 7. The next morning, we drove to Sahalie Falls, an hour and a half east of Eugene. Now, we've been there several times before, but this time, there was snow on the ground, which added another layer of atmosphere that we had never encountered. The waterfall was as gorgeous as ever. And the lava field nearby was otherworldly. From there, we drove to Silver Falls State Park, passing picturesque fall foliage all along Highway 22. There's a deep sense of connection and empowerment we feel when we're treated to such amazing natural beauty. It puts our petty gripes and struggles in perspective, for sure. Silver Falls State Park has given us some spectacular moments in the past, but never like this. The water was flowing with force. The ground was damp, but not muddy. The trees were covered in majestic green moss and magnificent orange-yellow leaves. There weren't too many people, but there was enough joyful energy in the air that it felt shared without being crowded. And by the way, the weather was incredible. Not a drop of rain, again. Even though it was pouring in nearby cities, we somehow managed to escape the storm. We arrived in Portland just in time to watch the Blue Jays decisively beat the Dodgers in Game 4. Not our favorite moment, but the end result was that the series was tied. So there was always tomorrow. My wife and I awoke the next day to find an apocalyptic fog covering the city. I was kind of disappointed and worried that it might not clear up. Despite my concerns, we grabbed coffee and headed east to the Columbia River Gorge. Our first stop, Crown Point. On a clear day, you can see the river in both directions, but this was not a clear day. As we drove on, we stumbled upon this charming field of cherries. Talk about vibrant red. Then, something amazing happened. The fog suddenly lifted, revealing a stellar waterfall, our first of 4 on our Columbia River Gorge waterfall crawl. This is Latourell Falls. Next up was Bridal Falls. We got a great view of the Columbia River without fog. Then got a great view of this amazing double waterfall. Waukena Falls was stop number 3, a hidden gem. From there, we hiked a half-mile to Multnomah Falls and saw an abandoned hornet nest and a cargo train along the way. Multnomah is one of the most famous and visited natural attractions in the Pacific Northwest. It's the tallest waterfall in Oregon, plunging a total of 620 feet in 2 major steps. The falls are fed by underground springs from nearby Larch Mountain, supplemented by snowmelt and rainwater. I recommend walking up to Benson Bridge for a closer, mistier look at the upper falls. Afterwards, we drove to Trillium Lake, which is nestled in Mount Hood. The roads were snow-lined just enough to be pretty without needing change. Mount Hood looked like something out of a postcard. After a day filled with beauty and wonder, we settled into our hotel to watch World Series Game 5. I couldn't believe how badly the Dodgers got beat. The next day, we enjoyed donuts and chai at Pips, a quaint cafe in the northeast part of Portland. If you like donuts, I highly recommend the Nutella. If you're there for the chai, try the Emmylou. It's a caffeine-free blend of lavender, chamomile, raw honey, and spices. After that, we visited Cathedral Park to film more music video content beneath the bridge. Next up was a hike to the Witch's Castle in Forest Park. Finally, we watched the sunset at Mount Tabor, one of the best viewpoints in all of Portland. And because it was October, after nightfall, we visited a few Halloween haunts. Once again, the weather could not have been nicer. Our magic streak continued. On day 3, we got yet another early start. We photographed murals in the Portland Arts District. Checked out the Portland Aerial Tram. Had lunch at McManaman's Kennedy School, which is such a fun, weird, creative space. You should definitely check it out. Finally, we visited the world-famous Voodoo Donuts and snapped a pic of the famous sign across the street. The best part was, despite spending so much of our day exploring downtown Portland, there was no sign of ice. That night was Halloween. Unfortunately for the trick-or-treaters, the rain started to fall around sunset. But as for my wife and I, we were cozied up in our hotel room, watching Game 6 of the World Series. And oh, what a scary good game it was. It ended with a shocking double play that solidified the Dodgers' win. If you want to see highlights and hear my conscious take on the series, check out the vids I made right here. The next morning, we packed up, said goodbye to Portland, and hit the road. On the way back, we visited Ashland. Even though we knew if we got off the freeway to visit the town, we would most likely miss the start of Game 7, we had a feeling that it would be worth it. So we pulled into Ashland and parked beside a sprawling maple tree that we had seen years prior. And wow, it was just as bright red and glowing as last time. That night, in our hotel room, we watched the Dodgers pull a rabbit out of their hat, the ultimate trick and treat, as they came back from the dead to win the World Series. It was a perfect magical moment to cap off a magical trip, one that we almost didn't take. The biggest lesson I learned in Oregon was how often logic gives you an incomplete picture. Logic sees risk and caution. Intuition sees possibilities. Logic looks at weather apps. Intuition considers timing, energy, and alignment. I'm not saying to ignore logic. Practical concerns are real. But make sure to listen to those silent taps, because your higher self knows the bigger picture, and it speaks in feelings and nudges. When something feels right, even if the circumstances look wrong, sometimes you have to trust that deeper signal. Everything that unfolded, every tree, trail, and waterfall, every moment of quiet, every World Series twist, proved that the inner guidance was the one to trust. Looking back, this was the best autumn trip we've ever taken. And by the way, the crack on the windshield turned out to be no big deal. It wasn't even large enough for the rental company to report it to our insurance. So yeah, everything worked out magically. If you enjoyed this story and want more conscious travel content and high vibe reflections, in addition to my conscious takes on sports and entertainment, please like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments, have you ever followed an intuitive nudge that led to something unexpected and amazing? If so, I'd love to hear about it. As always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, namaste.